Hello everyone, this is Eva and you're with Emma Butin.
Hi.
So you're watching 10 by 10 Lessons with Emma Butin and Eva. So you're on Chapter 7, The Best Laid Plan, Structuring Your Business Plan and Finance. So in your Chapter 7 of your book, you told us that the investors, when they look at the numbers, they see who you are, your personality, your experience, and also how much you understand your business.
Right.
So how does the investors know that?
When you submit your business plan, in your business plan you obviously take care of your expenses. Your employees, your office space, your marketing, your business budget, you take care of everything. When you list these expenses, investors know how to deal and look at these expenses from a different perspective. They know about your personality. And we're going to take a look at a few examples that show how your personality is reflected through these expenses. The first and the foremost is the most important one is how you deal with salaries. So, if you list your salaries, first of all, how much do you list your own salary? How much do you yourself draw? Second of all, how much do you give others? This is for investors to see how much you appreciate yourself as opposed to others. Now, there is no right or wrong answer. There is simply a matter of explaining why you list yourself higher or sometimes much lower than the salaries you give others. If you list your salary much higher than others, then you should put a little comment on your Excel sheet that's saying that you have a lot of experience, you're the CEO, you're the founder, and you take care of everything, and you bring in employees that you would like to be subordinates. If you would like to list your salaries as much lower than the other salaries, then you should explain that you draw in talent. That means that you bring in talented people and you should pay them a lot of money so they can come and work for you. Again, no right or wrong is a matter of how you look at the employees that come and work for you. Some investors appreciate that you pay talent a lot of money because they understand that you have to bring in good people and good people cost money. This is sometimes the American way of growing in big companies. In Israel, for example, investors like to see that you can bring in good talent with lower salaries and drive these people to be part of your success, part of the company. So it's really a matter of perspective. If you put a comment next to it, it shows investors that you considered it and you didn't just put in salaries, but you know what it means. And you can tell investors why you did what you did. In addition, you should take a look at the market average salaries and see how far you are from the average salaries out there in the market. If you give salaries that are the average salaries, that you're okay. But if your salaries are far too low or far too high from the market standard, then you should really put a little comment that explaining why it's far too low, maybe because these employees are going to get percentages of the company, options or shares, etc. Or these salaries are far too high because you brought in really talented people, and talented people cost money. In anyhow, it is a good thing to always explain in a little comment so you can reflect to investors that you understand what it is that you're doing. This is a little bit about your personality. Another part that reflects your personality is really how consistent are you. And these things can be seen through the details in the expenses that you list in your budget. So for example, and this is a funny one, if you list office supplies, do you really list that coffee machine and those pencil sharpeners in your budget, or you just list office supplies? Same thing goes for marketing and extra perks to employees. What investors like to see here is if you know that in some parts you're being very detailed and you're listing things to the penny, or in some ways you are a more broader person. In any event, each one is the right one. Some investors like to see very meticulous people list everything including pencils, and some investors would like to see that you understand what your budget is. They don't really care about that pencil or their coffee machine. What is important to understand that if you are a meticulous person and you are listing things in detail, make sure that you list all your expenses in detail. If you're not, and you'd like to see a broader scheme of things, then make sure that everything is consistent. That will give indication to investors that you are a consistent person, and that's what they like to see. The third thing that investors can learn from your business plan about you is really about your experience. The first thing that they always take a look at is the number of employees that you have listed on your business plan and at any given moment, and what is your run rate for that month. Run rate, also known as burn rate, is the total amount that the company spends on operations per month. Investors have a magic formula to determine if you know what your operation costs are and if they make sense. Their formula is taking the total run rate that your company has per month and dividing it into the number of employees that you have that month. You get a magic number. Now, this magic number changes from country to country. In Israel, for example, that magic number is $10,000. That means that if I have a run rate of $100,000 and I have 10 employees, then I probably get this right. My budget makes sense, my operations make sense. If I have between 8 to 12 employees under this budget, $100,000 per month, it's probably okay. But if I have 7 employees and my run rate per month is $100,000, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm spending way too much money. But if I have 20 employees and my budget per month is $100,000, then again I'm doing something wrong. I'm spending too little. Investors in every country have their own magic number. You have to find out what your magic number in Korea is and what is the proper ratio that you have to have in your budget. Because this is the first indicator to investors that you understand whether you're spending too much or too little.
So Emma, what should we consider when we make business models?
Well, as entrepreneurs, we'd love to see in our budgets that in the first year we don't make so much money, but in the second year we start making millions and then millions and then millions. Obviously, all investors would like to see budgets and business plans that you make lots of money during the second, third, and fourth years. But I also know that some of that is unrealistic. So in order for you to be a good entrepreneur with a great vision, always find business cases that are similar to yours. Because then when you show your business plan to investors, you can always show what it is that you relied on. That you didn't just make up a business plan, but that there are similar business models that you saw and you're working according to these. When you show investors the similar business models, they know that you looked into research and explored the similar cases, and they know that you can learn from these. So this is a recommendation from me to you. Always put a note and say what business models and what business cases you relied on.
So you are talking about all the operation costs, employees, and run rates, but what should we do if we don't have these kind of skill sets to put realistic numbers to each section?
Well, in such a case, it's really a good time to hire a consultant because this will serve you well. A good consultant that understands all of these points and how to build a proper business plan can serve you well before you submit your business plan to yourself and then to investors.
Emma, thank you for your explanation.
Sure.
So what's the chapter 8 about?
Well, chapter 8 is all about investment strategies and what you should know before getting yourself into the investment process.
Great. So you're more than welcome to post your questions down on this page, and Emma will be happy to answer them on our next chapter. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.